I just got done watching Violent Night, and you better watch out because this is not your typical Santa Claus. When a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in to save the day and, of course, Christmas. Now, this is from the producers of John Wick and Nobody, which is the exact reason why I was super excited for this movie. And in fact, this was one of my most anticipated films for the end of this year because it's Santa Claus taking on terrorists, and you have David Harbour playing Santa Claus, which I'm a major fan of him, of course, from Stranger Things. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably also seen Stranger Things and seen David Harbour in that role, and instantly walking out of this film, I felt that this was an instant Christmas classic that I wanted to re-watch all Christmas season. In fact, I love supporting movies in the theaters, and I love when movies get to succeed in the theaters, and I hope Violent Night does succeed in the theaters. That way, what we get is a new Violent Night movie every other year during Christmas time, and we get this awesome, grandiose, amazing Christmas action film that we all deserve. But selfishly, I want this movie to go on streaming right away so I can absolutely watch this movie again because I just had an utter blast, but I am praying for the support of this movie. So if you're watching this and you love action movies, this is right up your alley, and it is one of the best, most fun movies I've seen this year, specifically when it just comes down to entertainment itself. But like I said, if you're new here and you like talking movies, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It'd be a great Christmas present to me as I'm wearing this Winnie the Pooh Santa hat, as it's the only Santa hat we had in our damn house. As well as make sure to leave your thoughts down below on Violent Night. Are you excited for this movie? Are you not? Did you already see it? Let me know down below. With every movie review, the main thing I like to talk about first is the pros, and the first thing I want to talk about with Violent Night is the performance from David Harbour. This is the definitive, like, Santa Claus for me when it comes down to movies in this vein. And the reason I say that is because most of the time we see Santa Claus as this jolly huckleberry man. And sometimes we've seen him as a grump, like, say, from that Mel Gibson Santa Claus movie, which kind of had the same concept as this, except someone was hunting down Santa Claus, and that movie was absolutely terrible. But this is the better version of that film, and David Harbour is that definitive Santa Claus. This is a Santa Claus that is worn out. People don't believe in him anymore. They play on that. The kids just want money and video games, and they don't even want actual toys and joy, and don't even understand the meaning of Christmas nowadays, which I think is something that almost every single one of us forgets nowadays about what the meaning of Christmas is, and in general what the themes of Christmas are about giving and loving one another. And I really think that David Harbour plays Santa Claus to a T in there because we see him drinking, we see him doing this, and of course from the trailers you see him taking out terrorists. But he's also kind of a bumble. He bumbles around a little bit as he's not really the best fighter until you get a little bit of a deep dive into his back history, which we'll talk about in a second. But David Harbour plays this role perfectly, and to every nuance, I didn't see David Harbour. I legit saw Santa Claus. And that's the one thing I was a little bit worried. I loved all the concept, but was this going to feel like a parody, a Saturday Night Live sketch that went on a little bit too long and it was quite a bit more violent? And it didn't feel that way for me. David Harbour actually gives a fantastic performance as a man who is broken and just feels well down after doing this for thousands of years. And there's a lot more behind the role of that, and he does bring Santa Claus to life. Like, every little ounce of pain that he's in, he never just groans and moans in any other way. He actually goes, ho, ho, ho. He has this chuckle to him that does make you remember and feel like it's Santa Claus. And I love that. It's the small little nuances that really add a lot to this character that I think David Harbour's performance gives a lot more than I was expecting, and I love it. And there is actually a very sweet, sincere heart in here with this young little girl that kind of touches his life and kind of just reminds him that there is, again, people out there who still believe in Santa Claus and still believe in Christmas magic, and Christmas magic is a big theme of this, and I felt that Christmas magic throughout this entire thing, as bloody and as gnarly as the kills can get, and even as wacky as the humor can get at times. The movie still is filled with that Christmas magic that you expect to get from Christmas classics such as Christmas Vacation, Elf, Home Alone, Christmas Story, and so many others that I could just go on and on for hours talking about. But this joins the Titans as, for me, one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. I genuinely mean that if I were to do a top 10 list right now, you would find this movie at least at my number 10 or my number 9. And this is a movie that I'm planning to watch for the rest of my life and to show my kids. of course, when they get a little bit older, because this movie is very violent. And that's where I want to get into this, because this movie, the kills are awesome. They're very Home Alone-ish at times, but it's Home Alone rated R. And even adding in there, it's also Die Hard mixed with Home Alone. So I loved all that. Like, there's wonky Home Alone aspects to it all, but then when it gets down to the Die Hard elements, you see Santa Claus wrecking shop. And I love that. I love seeing the creative, innovative kills that they use to really much deciding on what Santa Claus is going to use. Is he going to use this toy? Is he going to use this weapon? Is he going to use this thing from Christmas? All the different things that you would imagine that could honestly kill someone during Christmas does kill someone in here, but even in a very more creative and unique way. And the creativity in this movie is actually one of the things that makes the kills stick out. It doesn't just feel like another John Wick or Nobody. It does have that classical action feel. It's not just straight one-shot takes the entire time. It does feel like the old school Die Hard days of action, and I was very appreciative of that. And each and every one of the sequences in here I actually thought was quite awesome, and I could not express enough how exciting they were, as well as the humor witted throughout this entire movie. While a lot of it goes within the Christmas theme and things like that, and sometimes it's just getting that reaction to some of the kills because of how gruesome they can be at times and gnarly, like I mentioned. The humor in here is actually quite funny, and for a second, I honestly can't look back and think of any jokes that really fell flat. This is a film that consistently keeps up the laughs, as well as keeping a smile on your face, and the audience we had at our preview screening tonight was spectacular. Everyone was very involved with this movie, and this was a movie that just continued to shock with excitement throughout the entire way. And again, I cannot continue to emphasize enough how exciting that was. And if you've watched my channel for a while, the one thing you know that I'm big on is mythology. And I was not expecting to get actually a little bit of a backstory with Mr. Santa Claus here. And they actually talk about certain things of maybe how he kind of came to who he was. Who was he in the past? Who was Santa Claus? And there is an interesting backlore there that I'm just saying, if anyone who made this movie is watching and this movie succeeds, please give me that film. There is a very fascinating prequel film in this. And it's very rare for me to even say that, because typically I hate prequels, but when you do a prequel right, you can do it right. There's a very interesting one here that I think I would love to see, and I think David Harbour would be able to kill it, and it would add to the entire lore of Santa Claus within this. So I did really dig the mythology that they actually build up in here, and I want more. I left this movie enjoying myself and wanting more from this character and the mythology that they had built up. I think the performances from pretty much everyone around the block is pretty good. Everyone you've seen before in certain things, of course, Beverly D'Angelo, you've seen, she's from Christmas Vacation, the Vacation movie, she's fantastic. John Leguizamo is the main villain in here, and he's good for the most part, he's fun, but again, it really just comes down to David Harbour. He is the main standout of this entire film. The action is absolutely spectacular, and the Christmas magic is all there. If I were to get a little bit nitpicky, I will say the movie was a little bit too long. At 1 hour and 47 minutes right before credits had started, I did find the film to be a little bit dragging with certain pacing moments, and that really just comes down to this family that you center on. You do have to give them a little bit of development, and sometimes it does patter the runtime just a bit, where I would have really rather just focus on David Harbour, but I do give appreciation at least to the writers and the directors to try and do something a little bit more than just the main solid dramatic of Santa Claus killing terrorists. They could have done as simple as that, and they didn't. They gave everything a little bit more development, but if you were going to develop the family a little bit more, I would have liked a little bit more development with them. It felt a little bit one note for everyone involved with that besides David Harbour's character. That's where I just go as far as say Violent Night is an instant Christmas classic, a bloody, gnarly, and goofy time that brings the laughs, the action, especially the Christmas magic. David Harbour is the definitive most realistic Santa Claus you could put into a movie, and a must watch this holiday season. I quite enjoyed this movie, and I think a lot of you guys are going to do the same. All that said, I'm going to give Violent Night an A-. Absolutely enjoyed this one from top to bottom. I think a lot of you guys are going to as well. If you're in the mood for the Christmas spirit with a lot of blood and gore, that is going to be this movie for you. But thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. You guys are really the best. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below your favorite Christmas movie and how excited you are for this movie. But of course, until next time, stay classy.